Hello, Periscope. Hello, Twitter. Hello, Facebook. Hello, social media. Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Isles Talk, uh, Season 2, Episode 10. Lots to talk about here today. We're going to wait for everyone to show up here and say hello. Um, this is going to be a pretty busy February. Lots of games, lots of drama going on with the trade deadline coming up on the 24th. And what we're going to do over the next hour of this show is that we're going to go over the standings like we always do. And I think that's going to help you guys a little bit with the trade deadline, at least in terms of the Islanders. And we're going to talk about Kieffer Bellows. We're going to talk about the third line. We're going to talk about, are the Islanders still going to make a move with the offense that we now have? Hey guys, how's my voice? Everything good? Everything sound good? Any issues? Help me out. So, yeah, we'll talk standings. We'll talk Kieffer Bellows. We'll talk third line. We will talk trade deadline just in a little while. But what's up, guys? Can you guys hear me all right? Everything good? Give me a thumbs up. Give me something here. What's up, Jimmy? You guys are killing me. So, all right, let's get started here. Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm going to get a couple more of those classic jerseys, believe it or not. I'm going to see if I can find Trotz, Gillies. Everything sounds great. Thank you. Finally, someone gives me a heads up here. Thanks, guys. All right, so listen. Trade deadline. Roughly 2 weeks away, give or take. What we're going to do right now is that we're going to go over the standings from the point pace perspective, the percentages. I still do that. And the reason why I still do that is because the percentages and the regular standings, they don't mesh yet. They're not similar until about game 60 or 65. But the NHL loves that because now it's creating drama, which Islander fans are very used to. So here we go. And this is going to have big implications for you guys as well, because the trade deadline, I know you guys want a lot of players from a lot of teams, but I'm going to say for at least the next week or two, don't worry about it, especially if you're looking for offense. So very quickly, in the Metro, you can basically just count out the Devils. The Rangers, they're on borrowed time. Let's not fool ourselves. But we don't know what Chris Kreider's going to do yet. And there's also a rumor going around that Henrik Lundqvist may actually be bought out at the end of the year. So maybe the Rangers are going to keep their young goaltenders. So hold on to any kind of goalie rumors. Because if it is true that, Lundqvist is, going to get bought out, that's a big one. So, no, we are going to make a deal, Mark. I got you covered. Going out over in the Atlantic, you can scratch off the Sens, you can scratch off the Wings, and the Sabres pretty much out of the playoffs. Now, the Montreal Canadiens, believe it or not, they are still in it. Even from a percentage standpoint, but them along with the Rangers, they're on borrowed time. Those are the only two teams that are on borrowed time. And what do I mean by that? I'm saying they could be eliminated by another 5 or 6 games from now, so another week or so. So the week of the trade deadline, that's when they could be eliminated. But I've already been told from Montreal that Marc Bergevin is going to give the Montreal Canadian players enough time to make one more final push, and that he may not make any trades probably until like deadline weekend, when he knows the Montreal Canadiens are absolutely out of the playoffs. So, but yes, Senators, Wings, Sabres, they're out. Habs and Rangers, to be determined. They're in it for now. But again, they're on borrowed time. The Central Division, everyone's in it. Everyone's in it. There's not a single team in the Central Division that's out of a playoff hunt right now. So for those of you who are worried, or those of you who are looking for someone out of the Predators, don't bother for now. The Minnesota Wild, don't bother for now. Those of you looking for Patrick Laine in the Winnipeg Jets, don't bother for now. The Hawks are in it. At this point, I would expect the Central to be buyers. I mean, it is that close. I mean, you're looking at right now in the Western Conference, the Calgary Flames and the Arizona Coyotes, they're both on pace for 89 points. So hear me out here. The Chicago Blackhawks right now are on pace for 88. So are the Winnipeg Jets, 88. The Minnesota Wild are on pace for 87. The Sharks and the Ducks, they're very similar to the Rangers and the Habs. They're on borrowed time, but believe it or not, guys, they're both still in it. So it's really up to the Sharks and Ducks as to when they want to make when they want to pull a trade. But I'm thinking they're going to wait to get the best deal. Okay. The Kings, I'll tell you right now, the Kings are the busiest team. They're taking all the phone calls. They're getting phone calls. They're making phone calls. The Kings are, in fact, the busiest team right now in the NHL. I think they're really the only ones right now that have waved the white flag. I think they're done. So, and with that trade to Toronto, that kind of cemented it. You know, obviously right now we're looking for Alec Martinez to be traded. We're also looking for Tyler Toffoli to be traded. But again, I think LA is going to be looking for the best offer that they can get, and we'll go from there. So those of you looking for any trade partner out of the West in the Central Division, I doubt it. At least for another week or two. Like, don't even bother looking for a forward over there because they're all still in it. And, you know, the Kings have an opportunity now. Because the Central's in it, they can hold on to Tyler Toffoli and wait for that best offer. If they were looking for maybe 2 second-rounders, they may eventually get that, but could they be asking for a first-rounder at this point? Sure. Everyone else is buyers. The Kings are the only ones selling. I mean, if you had a choice between Tyler Toffoli or Athanasiou from Detroit, who would you rather have? I'd go with Toffoli. See where I'm going with this? Taylor Hall going to move again. Chris, that's a good question. I'll take that question for now. Arizona, as of this conversation, if we're playing the percentages, they're on the outside looking in. I don't think they will, though. I could still see Arizona be buyers because Calgary's a little bit of a mess. And I think Arizona kind of owes it to their fans. Excuse me for a moment. Owes it to their fans to make the playoffs this year. I don't think Taylor Hall is going to get traded this trade deadline. I think he's there. I think they're going to try to win with what they have. And if their goaltending gets healthy, they can make a simple run. You know, anything could happen. So, yeah, everybody wants Toffoli. Everybody, you know, we'll go through the trade deadline. I'll take all your questions later on. But for now, the Kings are a sit and wait moment because right now they're sitting pretty. They could probably get the best offers from anybody at this point because the Central is absolutely stuck. They're all in it for the playoff run. So, as Islander fans, if you're looking for that forward, you're out of luck. At least Mayfield's not injured. You're at least gonna have to wait maybe until trade deadline weekend to get yourself that forward. Because most of the teams in the West, they're all in a playoff. They're all in a playoff hunt. And LA's in a great position right now to just get whatever they want for Toffoli. So in that case, let's move on here. Quick recap of the games that the Islanders had against Vancouver, the Kings. Just in general, I was not pleased, believe it or not, with the games that I had watched. Yes, they took 5 out of 6. I know a lot of you are happy with that, but I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen the Islanders play Barry Trotz hockey for 60 minutes or even 50 minutes for 3 games in a row. And that was a pretty long break that the Islanders had. That should have been 6 out of 6. Vancouver, I am going to put that on Thomas Greiss. We'll just call them brain farts in net. Thomas Greiss cost the Islanders a point. Granted, they did get a point. That should have been 2. The game against Dallas, Semyon Varlamov again he looked like Yara Halak back in just a couple of years ago when the Islanders' defense was bad. Just a couple of really bad mental lapses from the goaltenders in the first 2 games. And then last night, I don't know what the heck happened, but the Islanders forgot how to do a line change, and it cost them twice in the first period. Granted, we came back to score. Thank God for the third line. We'll get into them in a minute, but I'm actually glad, almost ecstatic, that the Islanders are now playing the Washington Capitals and the Tampa Bay Lightning over the next couple of games because they need to really get their mental butts in gear. There is no, they need to be ready. They need to be ready for the full 60 minutes. This is now playoff hockey, and you're not going to win if you're going to take a brain fart for a period, and that's exactly what's been happening. So, yes, 5 out of 6 is good. They got lucky. Let's just put that out there. If they're not going to play the Barry Trotz system, Islanders hockey, they're going to struggle. And it's going to show because of the amount of games that they now have to play pretty much for the rest of this year. I know that's a little hard, but that's reality. That's just the way it is. So, those were games, in all honesty, that the Islanders should have only given up 1 or 2 goals against each team. There should be no room for error at this point. Even if you lose Adam Pelech and Cal Clutterbuck, I get that, but you're missing assignments here, and your goaltenders right now, they're not in midseason form. It's now is the time, and this is why I'm actually glad that the Capitals and the Tampa Bay Lightning are their next 2 opponents, because now it's going to force them to mentally be prepared and get themselves motivated to go from the start of the period till the end of the game. But again, that's just me. So we'll see what happens. Moving forward here, last week, as part of the trade deadline, post-trade deadline, one of my hopes for a possible third line was the involvement of Kieffer Bellows, who I thought would be up 3 weeks, basically February 25th, the day after the trade deadline. And the reason why I said February 25th is because you can expand the roster to as many players basically that you want, won't damage the cap that much. And it would have given Kieffer his shot because he has earned it. He's absolutely earned it. And lo and behold, he's up this past week. And he has shined. There's just no other way to say it. I'm very happy for him. Am I really surprised? Not really. But I'm reading a lot that Kieffer Bellows is being showcased. And for right now, I am going to say he's not being showcased. And the reason why is, again, I'm going back to my own work. I'm backing up what I had been saying before. I now expect Kieffer Bellows to be here for the rest of the season. I thought he was going to be here from February 25th all the way until the end of the season. Now it's from basically a couple of days ago to now. I think he's here. I think he's going to be a mainstay here for the rest of the year. There's no point of him going back to Bridgeport. Bridgeport's out of the playoffs. That's just the bottom line. Okay? I just don't think Bellows is up here to be showcased. I could be wrong. That's fine. We'll find out. But I don't think Bellows was meant to be up here to come in for trade bait and get that power forward that you guys are looking for. I don't think that's happening, at least in Bellows. So what happened over the last couple of games? We saw the creation of Bellows, Brassard, and Michael Dal Cole. Now, for those of you who do not know, Bellows and Michael Dal Cole, they were actually line mates last year in Bridgeport before Michael Dal Cole got called up for the rest of the season. So there was definitely some chemistry between the two of them to begin with. Certainly enough enough in the communication department for them to work. And Derek Brassard right now likes the fact that he actually has a scorer to go along with someone who has been crashing the net. So is this the new third line? Do the Islanders have to make a trade for a 3C? Do the Islanders have to do anything to get that third line rolling so that way when the Islanders are in the playoffs, they've got 4 lines going against whoever they play in the first round? My answer to that is I don't know. Okay. If it's an I don't know, what are we seeing from this group? What are we seeing from Bellows? What are we seeing from Dal Cole? What are we seeing from Derek Brassard? We are seeing a wave of momentum from those three. And allow me to explain. Kieffer Bellows has been scoring goals in Bridgeport basically since December, and he's done very well. He's been able so far, small sample size, to bring the goals to the NHL, to the Islanders, and now he's continuing to put up the points. Michael Dal Cole, everyone, has 6 points in his last 9 games. He was racking up the points before Kieffer Bellows showed up. Now he's continuing it. He's on a hot streak. He's riding a momentum. Okay, now Derek Brassard, since going down on the third line center with both those guys, he's now on pace between 40 and 45 points, which is where we wanted him to begin with. But now, if he's really comfortable playing at the center position with a sniper and someone who can crash the net, 50 points out of the question out of Derek Brassard. We got to find out what the momentum is, how the momentum is going to carry them. If you guys know where I'm going with this. Okay, so you're riding this weight of momentum, and Barry Trotz basically gave you guys an answer to the trade deadline. There's not enough sample space. There's not enough samples from this line. He needs to see it over the long term. He needs to see it not just from 2 games or 3 games. He needs to see it from 10, 15 games. He needs to see if this line is legit. And that, folks, is where the trade deadline is going to come in. I think the third line is going to determine what the Islanders are going to do in terms of a forward. Okay? Do they continue this momentum through February, through March? Maybe. We have to wait and find out. You guys hated this when I said this last year about the Islanders season last year when they were running with house money. You guys hated that. You were waiting for trades. You wanted something else to happen. And I told you, no, they were going with house money. Well, let me tell you what's happening now. The Islanders ran out a little bit of money. They were struggling. They dipped into the savings. They pulled out a 20. Get it? They pulled out a 20. And as of right now, they seem to have hit the lottery. So what is Lou going to do for the next 2 weeks? He's probably going to run with house money. You guys are going to hate me. I know this. Okay. Should you expect a trade for a major power forward? Not yet. I don't think they're going to anyway. I've been trying to say to you guys, I think it's going to be a very subtle trade deadline for the Islanders. We'll see what happens. but I think this is a great test for the third line. You're coming in. They're all on a hot streak. They're all on a big momentum wave. How are they going to handle the Capitals? How are they going to handle the Tampa Bay Lightning? And this is why I want the Islanders as a team to finally come together and start playing some Barry Trotz hockey, because now you've got a hotline. You have a team that plays the team defense like they're supposed to. I don't think the Islanders are going to be as bad as people think they were going to be. And sometimes that's all it takes. What's up, guys? Philip, will it make any sense? Not at all. So the Islanders are going to ride this wave of momentum called the third line. Do they stick? Are they going to be consistent? Can they go through the playoffs? They could. We got to find out. The Islanders are now running with house money again. So my advice to you guys, at least for the next week and a half, don't expect a forward coming anytime soon in the top 6. I've already explained to you guys on the standings. I can't see anyone trading anybody yet. And as far as the Islanders are concerned, the only forward you might be able to get at this point is Tyler Toffoli. But what would you rather have? Tyler Toffoli or a possible third line? That's up to you guys. There's no right or wrong answer. But that's the situation that the Islanders are currently in. Now, for those of you, I'm going to get to the power play in a minute. I want to ask you guys this. Michael Dal-Cole, just recently, does he remind you guys of Matt Molson? Because in all honesty, guys, that's what I'm seeing out of Michael Dal-Cole right now. He's looking like a classic Matt Molson type. Driving to the net, crashing, getting those garbage goals, whatever you want to call them. And he's in front of the net. He's making the plays. I mean, he may have found his niche. Right? Michael Dal-Cole right now is reminding me of Matt Molson. Crashing the net, staying in front, scoring those garbage goals. Why not? Okay, so Derek Brassard has the best of both worlds. He's got a sniper to his left. He's got a garbage man to his right. If Derek Brassard really wants to continue his career in the NHL or even with the Islanders, he's got to make this work. Absolutely has to make this work. Because I've never seen Michael Dal-Cole this motivated at all. And I believe Barry Trotz said in his interview, he doesn't want to sit down anymore. He doesn't want to be benched. Great. Now he gets to play with his own line mate in Bridgeport and a setup guy like Derek Brassard. Ride this momentum, go with the house money, and we'll see what happens come trade deadline. In terms of the forwards. Now, the power play, yes, Molson was better, but Molson was also older. You got to remember, when Molson came in, Molson was like 26, 27, 28. He was already on the other side of his 20s. Okay, Michael Dal-Cole is still learning this game right now. Molson was never fast. Molson had cement. That's why I'm comparing Dal-Cole to Matt Molson. Molson was not fast. So, getting back to the trade deadline, the power play as well. Let's get into the power play. I don't know if you guys have seen it as well, but for me, the Islanders are up to something on the power play. They've been moving the puck around a little bit more, but their passing's been a lot better. If I didn't know any better, obviously they're practicing it. They're practicing it on their days off. Excuse me, but if I didn't know any better, I'd say the Islanders are prepping their power play for the playoffs. It's like we're starting to see a small sample size of what they're actually trying to do on the power play. And I think they're just waiting to unload it during the playoffs. Like it's almost kind of sneaky. If I wouldn't be surprised if the Islanders started really clicking on the power play sooner than later, but there's a part of me that's kind of like they're kind of, it's like an ace in their pocket with the power play. I think they've got something coming up, and I think they're just going to unload it towards the end of the season or in that first round of the playoffs. Because if you guys remember, the Islanders in the playoffs last year were around 20%, when during the regular season they were at 14. I'm kind of getting the vibe that the Islanders may pull something like that again. So hold off on the power play just a little bit. And yeah, we do need to get more on the power play, and I agree with that. But I think the Islanders, they're working on something on their power play. I think they've almost got it. I think you're going to see if the Islanders can get their power play up to 20%, I think that would be perfect for them. I really do. And I think they have a couple more, shall we say, tricks up their sleeve come playoff time. So we'll see what happens there. Now, in terms of what's up, Stro? In terms of that's true, Joe. They did. In terms of a defenseman for the trade deadline, I am still on the Andy Green bandwagon. I really do like Andy Green. I think he'd be a perfect fit. I wouldn't mind Ron Hainsey at all. I think he would fit very well. Another sneaky Lou move that I think he's available. Vegas Golden Knights, John Merrill, former second-round pick of the New Jersey Devils back in 2010. Physical guy, fairly fast. He's a bottom pair. Less cap room. So if the Islanders wanted to go for another forward, they can afford it if they go for someone like John Merrill, who has a cap of maybe 1.3 mil, whereas Hainsey and Andy Green they're a little bit more in the cap. But a really good sneaky move would be John Merrill of the Vegas Golden Knights. And David, I have the Islanders going to the playoffs. All right, let me go to the standings real quick for you guys. The Caps are on pace for 117. The Pens are on pace for 110, and the Islanders are still on pace for 107 points. They've never dipped any lower this season than 104. Okay? The next closest team is Columbus with 102. That's a team you need to watch. Bottom line, if they start losing, we're good. Okay? Right now, the Flyers and the Canes, they're on pace for 99. I have not seen any other team except for Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay climb over 104 points. So that's why I'm saying watch for Columbus. I have no doubt for right now, the Islanders are still making this. They're making the playoffs. I'm going to go there. So the Islanders, for those of you crying wolf or, the world's falling over, sorry, this is not your show. This is not the show for you to watch. I just don't feel that the Islanders, I just don't feel the Islanders are that destructured to not make the playoffs. Yes, they've had injuries, and they'll eventually fix those problems. But do I think the Islanders are going to make the playoffs at this point? Yes. Where? We'll find out. So, yeah, I'm not worried about the standings. I don't look at the NHL standings right now. I don't. I always take a look at the percentages for at least another 10 games. After 10 games, I will tell you guys, okay, look at those regular NHL point standings, because then they're real. For now, I don't even bother. I've been doing it for years. That's why I don't stress over the standings as much. So, 7:29, water cooler talk. Questions, comments, concerns, anyone on Periscope, Twitter, fire away, Facebook, fire away. What do you got for me? Isles make the playoffs. How will the home games be played? Philip, that's a great question. As of right now, let's just go along with the first round being at the Nassau Coliseum. Anything after that will be at the Barclays, pending an NHL decision. But I will probably say that NBC also has some say in this as well, because NBC would be covering the Islanders in the second round. So I think if NBC had a preference, it would be at Barclays, and we have to see where that goes. Do I think we can do better than 107? Adam, I'm not going to lie to you. That is going to depend on the third line. If the Islanders can play Barry Trotz hockey and the Islanders' third line continues their momentum going up, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if the Islanders could finish with 110. Am I counting on that? No. But again, we need to see how long the Islanders can ride this wave of momentum. And no, I don't see Pittsburgh doing as well as they have. I don't see Pittsburgh going as high as they have for the next 30 games. I just don't see it. Anything's possible at this point. But, I like the fact that the Islanders are on pace right now for 107. They did 103 last year. We're only talking 2 more wins, right? Basically, 2 more wins than last year. It can still happen. Agreed. They have to stop losing to bad teams. I agree with that, Chris. Absolutely. But now they got to step up their games and play Barry Trotz hockey against the good teams. That's what they need to do. When do the rosters expand? Usually about a day after the trade deadline. So if the trade deadline is the 24th, I believe the expanded rosters are on the 25th. Do I expect Clutter to be back soon? No, as a matter of fact, I'm expecting Clutter to be back after the trade deadline. Again, I think the Islanders may go for a depth forward. But then when they have on the 25th, you can still bring in Clutter, and it won't matter with the cap or whatnot. So you can expand your roster that way. To the extent of his injury, we just don't know when he's coming back. So for those of you who were wondering about why Nate Thompson and the Islanders are kind of connected, that might be why. They just don't know how long or when Cal Clutterbuck could be coming back at some point, but we'll see. I do think he'll be back. I would imagine after the trade deadline. Sam Bennett, believe it or not, from Calgary. They don't want to trade him just yet, but he probably does need a change of scenery. And I wouldn't mind Sam Bennett at all. In a heartbeat. Any other questions, comments, concerns? What do you got for me? Do I expect the announcing an Islanders trade while emceeing the benefit on the 23rd? We'll get into the benefit a little bit later on. I don't know if the Islanders go after Andy Green, I think that'll be on the 24th. Or whenever Andy Green's last Devils game would be, we'd have to check the schedule, and then we'll just start checking off, what days, the Islanders could get Andy Green. I don't know. For all I know, we could be going after Alec Martinez, Ron Hainsey. I still wouldn't mind John Merrill. But for now, if Andy Green for me right now makes the most sense. And I think the Islanders would just wait at the appropriate time to land Andy Green. Beating a dead horse, but will Hosang ever be back up, or is he just done after the season? I will tell you right now, Chris, I've seen Hosang ever since he's been back. He's maddening to watch. I don't think he comes up with the Islanders. He's playing his own style. He's playing his own game. And some way, somehow, he's still racking up points, and now he's starting to score goals. But it's his way. Even when he came back, he hasn't gained any weight, or I should say any muscle. His skating has now become predictable in the American Hockey League. I've seen it because now I'm seeing getting crunched against the boards. He's not really digging for the pucks. He does not fit the system because he doesn't want to play the system. He wants to do his own thing. He should be a guy dominating in the American Hockey League, and he's just not. Bellows keeps going. Will he be moved up to the first or second line? No. Why? If it's not broke, why fix? If it's not broken, why fix it? Why not run with 4 solid lines? Doesn't matter where the scoring is coming from as long as you're getting the scoring, right? Would Ladd be brought up? Great question, Les. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. That's Andrew Ladd's future. We'll get into that in another show. I don't know. I don't know what the Islanders' plans are for Andrew Ladd, but money down on the table, I would have to say no. Unless there's injuries, then maybe yes. Brent Thompson out as coach after Bridgeport's season's end. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of the players still worship him. They think he's a great coach. And to Bridgeport's credit, a little bit, they've been plagued with injuries. This was an absolute plague this year. A lot of it cannot be placed on Brent Thompson. Just can't. Having said that, if there was ever a time for a new coach, it wouldn't be a bad idea to do it after this year and start off fresh. The honest answer is I don't know. I certainly wouldn't put the blame on Coach Thompson this year, especially when you've seen someone like, Kieffer Bellows blossoming the way he has. But could it be time for a change? It might be. But honestly, that's up to Lou. I really don't know, but I cannot, and nor should any other fan, blame this season on Brent Thompson, not with the amount of plague of injuries that they have had this year. They just can't. If the Islanders buy out Ladd, how much of a cap hit is it, bro? Nah, not much of a cap relief. See, Johnny Boychuk and Andrew Ladd, they were both smart. They both got signing bonuses. So no matter what, they're getting paid. So if their salary cap, if they get bought out, I think it's only like $600,000, $700,000 of savings by the Islanders. So yeah, buying Boychuk out or Ladd at this point, I don't think makes a lot of sense just because of those signing bonuses. That's why LA couldn't really trade or buy out Kovalchuk's contract because of that signing bonus. He was due a signing bonus in December. So when he was finally given that signing bonus in December, that's when they were able to terminate the contract. Do I think Greiss will get out of this funk? Yes, I do. I think Varlamov and Greiss, they're going to do the 50-50, at least through this tough schedule. And I think they'll both be ready. But that it's not just on Greiss and Varlamov. Yes, they did have a couple of brain farts, but the overall team defense has got to be better. If the team defense gets better, they will get better as well. Manson from Anaheim. All right, here's the thing on Anaheim. I have been told right now that Anaheim is in no rush to trade anybody at this point. Again, the Ducks are one of those teams on borrowed time. They will eventually be eliminated, but I've been told from a few people in Anaheim that they're in no rush to trade anybody. So Manson is an option, but it just depends on how long Lou wants to wait for. Or if there's other, easier options, more affordable options. But right now, I'm not expecting Anaheim to make any moves, at least for like another week or so. When you buy out a player, what does the cap hit look like? Do they save on the cap? Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you, David. I looked up cap friendly, and basically the only savings was it was somewhere in the effect of like Andrew Ladd was like $600,000 in savings, and Johnny Boychuk was like $800,000. Yeah, and they each have signing bonuses either for this year or next year or whatnot. So yeah, it's a little tough to do that. Thoughts on the Toronto LA trade? Toronto is surviving. Let's get that straight. Toronto is figuring out how to survive in the cap. They're trying to survive without defense. They're trying to survive on goaltending that's now injured. Campbell is a great move. Kyle Clifford was a really good move. I like Kyle Clifford. I think that really helps Toronto, but it still doesn't solve their cap issue. It still doesn't solve their defense, which they really don't have. Um, it may improve their work ethic. I'll give Toronto that, and it may improve their the overall goaltending. But even if Toronto gets into the first round of the playoffs, which as of right now they're not, they're on the outside looking in. The Leafs right now are on pace for 96 points and in 10th place. Go figure. Okay, we haven't seen standings like this since 2014-15 when the Boston Bruins had 96 points and they didn't make the playoffs. So that could happen to a couple of teams this year. But getting back to the Leafs, they don't have the defense. So even if the Leafs are in the playoffs in the first round, I don't think they have enough to get past the first round. They're just going to get shut down. So it's a good start, but they're a mess. Good on LA to get all those picks. That's fine. LA, like I said, they're running wild. Let them pick as much as they want in this draft because they need it, and they're gonna do really well eventually. Do I see Kunako getting waived? Nope. I don't see him getting waived. I don't see the point of it, especially when Bridgeport is just bombing. There's no point. He'll be a depth player, especially around the 25th when you can have those extra forwards around. Can Otto handle the third line center spot next season, or does he need more time in Bridgeport? I'm going to say he's going to need a little more time in Bridgeport. This was definitely, and I said this last year with Kieffer Bellows, this was a sophomore slump. He needs to work a little harder on his game. He needs to be a little more aggressive. And if he does that, I think he will eventually be a third line center. But that's also going to come down to the trade deadline as well, or maybe during the offseason. We'll see what happens with Otto. But I would say at least another 30 to 35 games of Otto down in the minors, and we need to see something like he did with Kieffer Bellows this year. He doesn't have to score a ton of goals in 1 month or whatnot, but if we start to see more consistency out of Otto, then I think you could see him getting called up. Ducks are 10 points out in the playoffs. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They win 5, 6, 7 in a row. They're right back in it. I still want to see what these kids can do all together before we panic and trade them. Absolutely. I'm all for it. For those of you who have never been on the show or have never seen the show before, I am a huge fan of the Bill Torrey, Jimmy Devellano, the Hollands, the Yzermans, the Poyles, the Lamorellos, Winnipeg, Cheveldayoffs. I love building a team through the draft. I love winning through the draft and eventually making those trades because of the draft to grab those players that we need. This is what I've been waiting for. This is what I was hoping for Islander fans for God knows how long. And I'm very happy for you guys that you guys finally have a third line that we get to watch for a little while and watch them grow. And Chris, to your point, the Islanders are making my year-end review of the Islanders very easy this year because it has been about the kids. The kids have stepped up and they have been able to take their games to another level. Some of them are having career years, and that's what's been keeping the Islanders afloat. So great point. Buffalo is motivated to sell. Maybe Jack. Yeah. Grab some popcorn for Buffalo, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. Yeah. Good point, Les. We still have Hickey on the team. We do have Hickey, but we don't know when he's going to play. That's just the thing. Of all the players on the Islanders, Garceau picks and trades, mostly picks, what do you think? Will loose picks be better? Well, out of Oliver Wahlstrom right now, Oliver Wahlstrom has the potential to be better than Kyle Oposo. And that was a Neil Smith pick. I think Wahlstrom has the potential to be better. Noah Dobson has the potential to be better than Ryan Pulock, and I love Ryan Pulock right there. But they're two different defensemen. But, Noah Dobson, absolutely so far. There's a couple of other a couple more kids developing either in college or in the minors that I really do like. Um, so for now, my politically correct answer is we'll see. But over the next couple of years, I think yeah, he is going. Lou may eventually be uh, picking better than Garth, but again, Lou's got to be here for a while. Um, Linus Soderstrom, I'm not upset with that pick either. I really am not. He's going through some growing pains as well. I think he's got a shot to be better than Bailey. So uh, there's potential there. Your predictions on this upcoming difficult 7 game stretch. Um, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I haven't even looked at all of them. Washington and Tampa Bay, if they can split that, wonderful. I think they can beat Philly and Barclays, and those are the only 3 that I really looked up. Give me the other teams, and I'll give you a quick yes or no. Sorokin still on tap to come to Long Island? Yep. And if I'm wrong, you guys can find me. That's fine. You can bash me all you want. When does the season end for the Sound Tigers? Sometime in March. Yes, big learning curve for Noah Dobson. Yes, he drafted in Lou drafted in 2018. He drafted Oliver Wahlstrom, Noah Dobson, Ishkakov, Bodie Wild, and then last year in 2019, Linus Soderstrom. Oh, at Nashville, at Vegas. Yeah. Nashville and Vegas, they are still winnable games, guys. If the Islanders play within their system, they're still winnable games. Arizona, yes. Colorado, at Colorado, I don't know. I don't know. I think out of the next 7 games, guys, I think if they can rack up 8 points over the next 7 games, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. I know you guys don't like mediocrity, but that's you want that through the month of December. You want that. I think they can rack up at least 8 out of the next 8 points, 8 points in 7 games, something like that. Their chance. Dobson starts next season in Bridgeport to play the first pyramid. That's a good question, Cutler. I wouldn't put it past Lou. I wouldn't put it past Lou. I wouldn't put it past Trotz. I love what the Islanders are doing with Dobson right now. I think he should get as many games as possible, and we have seen his confidence go up. For example, that Kings game, I don't know if it was Boychuk or whoever it was behind the Islanders net, but Dobson just swooped right in. He's like, nope, I got this. And there he is bringing that puck up. That's what I want to see. I'm loving the fact that these kids are letting the game come to them, but the confidence is building and it's going to be infectious around the rest of the team. That's what I love about the kids right now. They're getting it. So would starting Dobson at the beginning of the season in Bridgeport, I wouldn't put it past Lou. But Dobson's got to make a real strong case for that top 4 at training camp. Really good question, though, Cutler. I don't think Hosang will get called up this year. You know what? Van Soppel's been injured all season long. I believe he was on the opening day injured reserve roster. Something I think it was his wrist. I'm not sure, but he was done. Van Soppel hasn't even showed up. The good thing is he'll be back in Bridgeport next season. The Islanders will probably qualify him, and he'll clear waivers. So give Van Soppel another shot. Yeah, Nashville, I agree. I agree with Nashville. But again, Nashville coaching change, they've been doing well as well. As well. I can't even talk anymore. They've been doing really well. So we'll see what happens. Yep. So listen, guys, we're coming up to the final 10 minutes of the show. Great questions. Thanks for the water cooler talk. February 23rd. I have been asked to be the master of ceremonies at a really cool cancer charity event at RC Dugan's in East Meadow. It starts at 11:30 from 3:30. It is basically a pregame cancer charity event. I already have a bunch of guests coming in, and I'm going to be announcing them tonight. So my first guest is Nick Hershon. He is the writer of We Want Fish Sticks and the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum books. Okay, if you have not read these books, Nick will probably bring some. Make sure you buy some from him there. He's also going to be raffling off a book as part of the baskets or whatnot. So someone keep an open space for that. I love the book. I'm not even going to lie to you. That's a tough period for a lot of Islander fans, but I love the book. And we're going to catch up with Nick. And we're also, we'll catch up with Nick. We'll see what he's been doing since then and the effects he's had since that book. But for those of you who don't want to wait, you can go on Amazon and purchase the book there. It's a very good book, and you should go read it. But he is going to be one of my guests. Another guest from mine for right now is going to be Dennis Gorman. He is a freelance writer for the Associated Press and Newsday. He has covered the Rangers and the Islanders. So we're going to be bringing him along for a few questions as well. Big one, guys. Hockey Night in New York. Sean and Tony are going to be showing up here. Thankfully, they're coming in. If you have not listened to their podcast, you absolutely should be, especially if you have a very long commute. Every time I go to Long Island or every time I go to Bridgeport, they're that podcast to listen to. You can tell they've been friends for years, but they know their Islander stuff. They always have. I've always considered Sean to be like the diplomat, and Tony is the shoot first, ask questions later. It's a great mix. It's a great combination. If you're not listening to their shows, you should be. So make sure you find them on Twitter, Hockey Night in New York. You can find their podcast anywhere. I know they're on Apple. I know for a fact they're on the Apple podcast. They're usually one of the top Islander ones. They were going to be coming down for a guest, and hopefully with trade deadline, they can help me out just a little bit. Those are the three guests coming so far. I do want to give a quick shout out to Mike Carver of the ILC podcast. He was going to come down for this, but he is going to be on vacation. He's actually going to be coming home from a vacation, and I don't even blame Mike. I wouldn't have Mike come down after going on a vacation and then asking him to spend an afternoon with like 100, 150 Islander fans. That's just wrong. So thank you, Mike, anyway, for responding, getting back to me, and for helping me get the word out on this cancer event. It's been very helpful. I have asked other media people who cover the Islanders. They haven't gotten back to me yet. That's fine. There's no pressure. Whether they're allowed to do it or whatnot, no big deal. But the more guests I have, the more I will be announcing, and it's going to be a lot of fun. For me, what am I going to do at RC Dugan's? I am basically going to turn RC Dugan's into Nassau Coliseum from a sound perspective. We're going to go over some old clips, some from Brendan Burke, some from Howie Rose. We're going to have the BOA chants going on. I'm going to be playing the chicken dance, and I'm going to expect every single Islander fan to participate in the chicken dance, not the actual dancing. I don't want Brush or Tommy or, God forbid, Joe. I don't want any of them doing a stupid chicken dance on that one. That's just not helping. That's not happening at all. So, oh, beautiful. Yeah, we'll do that as well, David. Thank you. So, any more guests I will announce as soon as I get them. But come on over, have a good time. All the proceeds are going to the families in need for their to the cancer families who are in need of this. And the Drive for Five is also going to be donating to the New York Islanders Children's Foundation as well. It's going to be a good time. I will leave myself enough time to talk to all the fans, whoever want to chat. And yeah, it's trade deadline. So if there's any trades going on, I'll make the announcement right then and there. So having said that, come on down. It's $60 for the adults, $30 for kids, and I will promise to make it worth your while. No shower cap, none at all. No. All right, Michelle can do the chicken dance. That's fine. Brush is not. That's just not happening. No. Wait a minute. Let me rephrase that. Michelle drinking will not be doing the chicken dance. That's not happening either. You give Michelle like 4 fireball shots and it's all over. She'll be up on the tables dancing, and then we're all going to get kicked out. So no chicken dance for Michelle. I take that all back. So guys, thank you once again for another great show. I will be back next week. It's going to be busy. And as we get closer to trade deadline week, we're going to see, who's made any trades, and we'll check out the Islander stats and their standings from there on out. But until then, thank you, Twitter. Thank you, Periscope. Thank you, Facebook. Don't forget to follow Isles Talk on Facebook, on Twitter, on Periscope. We're on YouTube. I've been slacking off on YouTube. Like, follow, subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at P_Kreischer. Once again, thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you next week. Let's go Islanders. And hopefully we'll see you guys at the cancer event, February 23rd at RC Dugan's, starting at around 11:30. If you need tickets, we will leave the phone number for you guys. Go to Isles Talk on the Facebook page. It's already there. So thank you guys once again. Let's go Islanders, and we'll see you next week.